Hey everybody, John Granato, Lance Zierlein from the bench. Mornings on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Please hit subscribe so that you get all of our content here at SportsMap HOU. Lance, this week you laid out, you've done it before, but again, you laid out how Jack Easterby saved his job after the Laremy Tunsil deal. Why don't you recount that story for the YouTube watchers?
Basically, the people who were going for the general manager job at the time, the topic came up about Jack Easterby and whether or not he would have to be a member of the organization, because there were 4 different people who were vying for jobs either as head coach or general manager, who made the comment that they did not want Jack Easterby in the building at all with the Texans. And so it's my understanding that Jack Easterby understood that when Omar Khan was getting ready to be hired by the Houston Texans, when it was headed in that direction, he called his meetings with the leadership council, which is different players. And one of the players he called in was Laremy Tunsil. And he said, "Hey, I hope you put in a good word for me." And Tunsil basically just told him, "No, I'm not going to put in a good word for you. This is not some kind of save Jack Easterby thing." And I think it was then that Jack Easterby understood that his job could be in trouble. The way I hear it, that's when he took off to Cal McNair's house. If it's self-preservation and he's going to save his job, then he had to go get Nick Caserio, a guy who would take care of him as well. And remember, Nick was in the mix last year, no question. And so it's my understanding that that conversation with Cal is what convinced Cal to get on board with Jack Easterby flying out there along with Cal, I believe, and getting Nick Caserio as the next general manager. And, of course, from there you had Jack Easterby negotiating a contract for Nick, which feels like conflict of interest, but you don't have a Chris Olsen there anymore. So
right, and that's where
it all sounds like self-preservation. It doesn't sound like good of the team necessarily.
And that was the final straw for Deshaun. He came out with the more things change, that tweet. And then right afterwards, he said, "I don't want to be part of this organization." By the way,
two sources on that. This isn't a made-up thing. There's people who are involved who are sources on that who say that's how it went down. And I think, John, even if there are small details that are incorrect or slightly wrong on that, the concept that a guy is out there trying to save his own job and save his own skin, and this is how decisions are made about future decision makers and long-term contracts and the amount of money that Nick Caserio's paid, that is problematic to say the least.
Yeah. Now, Nick Caserio said again this week that Jack Easterby is not involved in football decisions. We saw Jack Easterby in the war room, though. I don't know. I've never seen Patriots war rooms. I don't know if Jack Easterby was in the war room when the Patriots were making draft picks. I don't know. I do know this. The optics aren't great. But, Jackie, we're going to have to get used to it. Jack Easterby in all major Texans decisions is going to be somewhere in the room, hopefully not having any voice in personnel decisions. But let's get used to it, people. Jack Easterby is in the room.
Yep, he's in the room where it happens, as they say in Hamilton. He is in the room where it happens, and it's a little unnerving to me because he's not a football guy, and I can't help but think that his vision of what the Texans should look like, even if it's not an individual player, just a general philosophy of what kind of players get drafted, I do wonder if that will leak into Cal, who will then push it towards Nick Caserio. I feel like Nick Caserio is his own guy, and he's going to do his own thing, and he knows who Jack is. He knows Jack's not a football guy. I'm not worried about that part of it. I just can't say after this weekend's draft and the way Nick is so super secretive and all that stuff. In the last few drafts for the Patriots, it's a little bit of, especially after this draft for me, even though they didn't even have a first or second round pick, the way it was handled, this is a bit of an unnerving time, and that's to say the least. When you have Nick and Jack and Cal McNair as your big three, I don't personally have a lot of confidence right now, and I'm not sure that the city of Houston does. I can tell you this, it's the lowest amount of excitement that this city has ever seen for the Houston Texans. I've never seen it worse.
Well, I have to believe Caserio's making personnel decisions. Jack Easterby might have a say on character of those guys. And Cal is sitting in the back and just sitting there watching. I just have to believe that. Because listen, if Cal didn't get involved in the DeAndre Hopkins trade, then Cal's never going to get involved in any kind of personnel decision.
I'm not worried about that.
I'm fine with that. listen, in Easterby, as far as hierarchy, power dynamics, Easterby still has a huge say there. He can still sway Cal, but by waving, a watch in front of his eyes, or he's got the spell, the Kai eyes, that he's got a power over Cal, and he still does have power in that building. But as long as it's not personnel decisions, then what's the difference to us, right?
Yeah, I suppose. I just don't like the guy.
I know you don't like the guy. I get that. Somehow over this last year or so, I've gotten that. I don't
think he is who he says he is.